Good afternoon, good evening, that is. And welcome to Hot Takes. Accidentally rolled the intro once more there. Gosh, we've got so many people in chat. We've got some new faces. Sage Hardware, what's up? We got a lot of regulars in chat. How's it going? Luxury Noise, Lux Elite, that's Matt. KJ Valium, 1 Year Experiment, Brick Mason. Welcome, guys. Rude Dog, good to have you guys here. And everybody else as well.
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, we've got a hell of an episode with you tonight, for you, that is, with a up-and-comer from the scene, a Mr. Heaven Sample.
Hello, Philadelphia native.
Philadelphia native, profoundly skilled drummer, collaborator with such acts as Vape Sage Hardware, Sevag H, and a handful of other people who are known and loved in the scene. And recent performer at Roche Corp and Vincent Van Gogh's I2K festival that I had the honor of opening and closing for. So Heaven Sample is a very cool, very skilled guy who's got great taste in fashion and music, and we're very excited to get to spend the evening rapping with him.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to know that. I didn't know much about him before I2K. Was very, very pleased and amazed by what I saw, and I've just he's been cool to talk to ever since then. And I know he's a fan favorite. A lot of you guys in here are already friends with or fans of. Anyways, what were you gonna say?
I've been watching his drumming videos to all the different vaporwave songs for a long time.
Vapor drum.
I was like, vapor drum.
I'm sure he's gonna want to talk about that sample.
I was like, you have to get him on.
Yep. It was your idea. Great idea. Just some reminders. We do commands in chat. I'm just gonna rapidly run through them all in the chat. If you want to follow Skelly or I, you can do !Skelly or SHIRO, or just hit follow. That's the socials for Hot Takes. We got a Discord server you could jump into if you like to argue about silly things and really bond with people. We got some great vibes in the Discord server. If you hit !Discord, that'll bring you to the most current link. Don't know if you guys saw, we got a new playlist courtesy of Hotel Pools, straight from him. If you hit !Spotify, thanks, mods. You can get links to all of our official playlists, including the official playlist that I very badly need to update soon. !Donate if you feel led to. You can donate to the show. All donations go towards equipment upgrades and commissioning artists. So it means a lot if you feel the need, if you feel the love to donate. We appreciate it. Couple new ones. !Comp. That'll take you to the official Hot Takes Vapor mix, the first comp CD. I say comp CD, I'm showing my age. The first Hot Takes comp, with all donations going towards the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. An ! Shirt. You can buy Vapor Age shirts by BFant.
Hey,
I think that covers everything.
They are the best.
BFant is phenomenal. Last but not least, be kind, everybody. No punching down, please. Punching up is actually encouraged, but we don't do sexism, racism, phobia, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, none of that. We don't do any of that in here.
We don't do that. We keep it light. Take the beat elsewhere.
Roj, thank you so much. Appreciate that donation. The good doctor is not wearing headphones, no. So there may be a little bleed on his end. If that just cannot be helped, then it cannot be helped. But if you got a set of ear pods, don't trip. It's okay. We will survive. Why don't we just go ahead and give you the mic? You've got some recommendations for us.
Yeah. So recommendations. Let's start off right now with a. What do I want to start with? Let's start with. It's a 2023 album by Inkopav called Slow Jams for a Metamorphosis. It's one of my favorite works by him. It's pretty much a vaporwave experiment from him. It feels like the movement of somebody through different phases in their life. It brings on me a sense of melancholy, but also a sense of hope. I believe it is it was a follow-up. He had another album before this called Bedroom Music for the Painfully Alone, which I believe is a little reference to Cassia Tone. The Cassia Tone.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Reference.
Good point.
And it just sounds like somebody kind of coming out of a process of understanding that there's a change in them. And you know what? What's great about vaporwave and this genre in general is the idea of that malaise can really be put forward through the textures of the music. There's one song there featuring a person called Figure with Meat. You know, Figure with Meat. I don't know who they are. Either way, it's called American Death Dream. It's a pretty good song, and I would recommend that one from there. What's another one? Oh, okay. And another album I want to recommend is I think it's a 2000. When did this come out? I was just listening to it again recently. A 2022 album by Twin Pines Mall called "Life Through Someone Else's Headphones." This is really fun. I love it when Twin Pines starts working with the soft rock of the 1980s and the synth pop of the 1980s. He does this on a few other albums, and this one's no exception. It's just a lot of fun to listen to. Something really good to get lost in the car when you're driving late at night. There's a song on it called, fun. Well, I think it's the self-titled song, I think, actually, Life Through Someone Else's Headphones. I find that whenever I listen to a Twin Pines Mall, the albums are always good, and then there's always one song on the Twin Pines Mall album that is just phenomenal. It becomes one of my favorite vaporwave songs ever written, and this album is no exception. It would be that song, Life Through Someone Else's Headphones. There's always all the songs are great. There's always one song that's well, this is one of my
That's me with Waterfront Dining.
I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Well, I think I've gone on record before. I've gone on record before saying that's from that scene of music. I think that Twin Pines is my absolute all-time favorite artist to come from.
Oh, I bet he would love to hear that.
I've told him many times, but I've said it on the show, man. I've been saying this for years, and I'll continue to say it because it's never going to change, probably. And then last, we're going to step outside vaporwave for a moment, and we're going to recommend. There's a re-release on vinyl recently of the Sidewalks and Skeletons album.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, White Light. That just recently got re-released. Yeah, that just recently got re-released on vinyl and by Vertigo Vinyl, I believe. And that's just one of my favorite albums ever written. I mean, it's a quintessential Witch House album. If you don't listen to Witch House, well, you kind of just only need that album and you'd be fine. If you didn't, I love it. I mean, obviously, Witch House, that's my favorite. But if you don't, you really only need to get that album, and I think you'd be good. And what's there to say? Goth. What to recommend a song? I mean, Goth, obviously, but
Goth.
Anything. Yeah, the song Goth.
Nice.
I mean, all of them really. They're all great. Anyway, yeah, that's me.
Nice. No, I especially love the Witch House wreck at the end. So before we bring on our esteemed guest, we're not
strip signs. Always said Witch House.
That's pretty good.
Jumper said time for a shot. This is anytime I say the word Witch House, time for a shot. Fair enough. Shout out Jumper Kimmins, who's just worked on a music video for my upcoming album, and he did a beautiful job. It's fucking amazing.
A beautiful job from Jumper Kimmins. Imagine that. Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I smell a future Hot Takes guest.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I do this thing periodically. I have a long-running, unskippable albums list of just albums that to me are flawless. I listen to a lot of music. It's all subjective, but I'm super picky, and so every couple of years I update the list, and I updated the list. And traditionally I just kind of give recs based on what I've been listening to lately, but it's been 4 months since we did. Aside from our episode 2 weeks ago, we were off. We were on hiatus for 4 months. So I'm just going to give the 7 vaporwave albums that I added to the unskippable, flawless albums list. Now, this is completely subjective, and I won't go into great detail about all 7. I'm sure most of you are familiar. I added to the list Auragraph's Opacity Field, which, if you're not already familiar, Auragraph is a great friend of the show and makes the best fusion of synthwave and lo-fi house I've ever heard, along with other influences, but also some vaporwave kind of weaved in there. They're one of the best genre benders in my opinion, and I'm incredibly excited to see Auragraph live again next month, actually this month at Altered States. So check out Opacity Field. They have many albums that are great, but that's where I started. Bodyline's Pocket Feelings I added to the list. Now, Bodyline, I was telling Lux today, I feel like early on, they've been around for a really long time. Early on, had some kind of darker, like sadder albums. But they did a stretch of albums, at least one or two in the like late 2010s that were very like a lot of samples from early 90s like Japanese smooth jazz artists. And Pocket Feelings is just, it's like if it's the soundtrack for a Miyazaki film if he was doing a movie about a weather channel. So definitely, I hope that that is a decent explanation of what you're going to hear if you check out Pocket Feelings. Cryosauna's Restless. Cryosauna is basically like if Burial is still making music, I think, but if like Burial continued to make music at a frenetic pace, that's what Cryosauna sounds like. Cryosauna ends up on a lot of like dream punk playlists, but like it's like just dark, vibey, almost kind of like Triangle Records-esque two-step music. Like you remember like Holy Other.
Oh yeah.
Who was that other kid? Oh, the name is escaping me, but I'm sure Lux remembers. It's the one that was really young that got really big on Triangle Records. Sounds a lot like that. If you want to hear some really like vibey, kind of dark, sensual two-step, kind of like Burial or Holy Other, check out Cryosauna's Restless. Perfect album. I'm going to get so much shit for this, but Cyan Blues Scientology is some of the best goddamn future funk I have ever heard.
Man, you'll never stop talking.
I will never stop.
Guys, I was eating pasta.
Yeah, they wanted to know so bad. Balama Cobb, thank you, Lux. Cryosauna sounds like Balama Cobb, but better.
Balama Cobb.
I know that's a hot take.
Child Death.
Yeah.
That's a great album.
If you like future funk that's danceable with lots of chops, I really like chops and loops. I couldn't tell you why. I love fucking chops and rolls. I know you hate them. I love them.
Me?
Yeah, you told me you hated rolls one day.
I don't hate it.
Well, you just don't like overuse of rolls.
I think it's brilliant.
No, you don't hate Cyan. You just don't like rolls.
Not so
Yeah. Anyways, so Cyan Blues Scientology is just some of the best goddamn future funk I've ever heard. You got to listen to it. If you haven't heard the new Cyan Blue, you know what to do. If everyone here, I'm sure, has heard Dan Mason's Forever Nothing. Well, I was late to the game and finally checked it out around the time of like the lockdown era of the pandemic. And boy, is it some good, just great songwriting, great melody writing, just honest to God, really fun. Nothing Matters is just a phenomenal song. Holy shit. Like, he's very well versed in many different subgenres of vaporwave. And thanks for the rec, Pacific Plaza. But check out Forever Nothing by Dan Mason if you just like simple hooks and good songwriting and good melody. And then I'm going to wrap these last two up really quick because we need to get started with Heaven Sample. I'm sure you guys haven't heard Wolfblade. This is probably like my deep cut. Wolfblade is a side project of a guy who was pretty big in the early 2010s called Bobby Tank. He did a lot of like synthwave and kind of like new disco stuff. Really good maximalism, just complex music with like a retro influence. And he just did a small EP called Wolfblade by Wolfblade. And he's got a flip of Endlessly by, I think it's Glenn Jones. It's just phenomenal. And then last one, and we'll get started. This one is, I had to translate this. Artist is called Virtual Paragon. The album was called Angel Island. It's some of the best goddamn vapor trap I've ever heard. Great pan flutes, simple, lush, organic sounding instrumental hip hop. I guess it's supposed to be a concept album that's like loosely related to Sonic the Hedgehog or like gems of some kind. I don't know. It's just really well executed vapor trap. Vapor trap's kind of come and gone, I feel like, but this stuff is good. And that's the last one I have for you tonight. That's Virtual Paragon by Angel Island. These are albums that I feel like are flawless, and I'm going to stop talking about them now. But if you check them out, I would love to hear what you think. We got just enough time to reiterate that we've got Heaven Sample, a crowd favorite, a highly desirable up-and-coming vaporwave artist and drummer to join us tonight. Why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself, brother? Welcome to the show.
Yo.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Let's go.
Yes.
good.
Welcome to Hot Takes, buddy.
What is up, fam? It's so good
There
to be
he
here.
is.
Thank you for having me.
of course,
Absolutely.
no problem.
Hell yeah.
So we'll go through some biographical questions, courtesy of Skelly. And then at the top of the hour,
Yo.
chat, you can let loose with your questions for Heaven Sample.
I love it. Bring it
Okay.
on.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
All right.
Let's get to know Heaven Sample.
All right, Chris. We got this. We got this. All right. Well, I guess let's just. I always like to start at the beginning. What was the first music that you kind of really connected with? What did you
Yeah.
hear? And you're like, huh, I like this. I like
Yeah.
I like all this art.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So like I grew up in a pretty musical household. Like my mom is
Hell yeah.
Wow.
a classically trained pianist, which
Shit.
is kind
Badass.
of insane because my mom was also born without her left hand.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So when my mom was born, the umbilical
amazing.
cord was. I'm coming out with like crazy stories right off the bat.
That's right.
No, I didn't see that coming.
Her umbilical cord was wrapped around her hand, so my mom's lived her whole life without her left hand, and literally like she will play Mozart, Beethoven, like taught herself how to play these classical pieces with only like one hand and like her arm on the left hand. So
That's
I've always
phenomenal.
been
Shit.
inspired by my
You
mom.
gotta top
and,
that.
I know, right? Like how
Set
how
the
do
bar
you
high
do
for
that?
you, man.
Mhm.
And
Shout out,
my
Mom.
dad is was an artist of a different craft. He was a wood sculptor actually by profession. That's what he did for a job his whole life, was he made abstract wood sculptures. And my dad was like a total
Damn.
hippie, like was at the original Woodstock, like
Your dad was at the original
Unreal.
Woodstock?
yeah.
You know what?
my
Why
dad-
don't you
my
just
dad is-
bring him on the show?
Yeah,
I know.
you need
Just
to get your
kidding.
dad here off the show now. Sorry.
We have some wild family history, so I feel like I
It's a
was
very
around
artistic
music.
household.
Yeah, I was around
it's in your
music
blood.
from a very early age. Yeah, no, totally.
That's
I'm
sick,
thankful
dude.
for that, honestly.
Wait, so, yeah, I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, like, they were really into like, 60s and 70s music, like, Jefferson Airplane and Bob Dylan and, folk stuff and more like psychedelic kind of stuff.
You got a lot of
My
early
mom
exposure
loves,
to
like,
that for people.
Joni
That's kind of
Mitchell.
crazy.
Yeah.
You got a lot of early exposure to music by people who really cared a lot about music.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So that was
Yeah,
just part
absolutely.
of your childhood then, was just already having the concept of music just really being instilled in you as something important, as being a creative outlet and potentially even a career.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, I mean, I just like kind of naturally progressed. And I have a half brother on my dad's side who is about 9 years older than me. And, I learned a lot like growing up about music and stuff from him. I mean, Skelly, he went to UArts here in Philly.
Oh shit!
And,
R.I.P. You are.
Yeah,
I know.
rest in peace to you, Arts.
recent
God damn.
RIP. And he used to throw like, keggers and they would DJ in the basement of his house and throw these like, so my brother was like really in music. He was a massive like Korn fan and loved like nu
nice.
metal kind of shit.
How fun!
And so he was like burning me CDs, when I was young, and definitely influenced like my music taste a lot.
Oh, that's
when I
always
started
good
to
have
make
that
my
older
own.
brother
Is that where
advantage
you
is
got the
always good.
follow the leader piece that you had on at I2K?
It's actually not. No, my girlfriend bought that for me.
Hell yeah.
Shout out
But,
to the
but
girlfriend.
my
Better
my
keep that
brother,
one around.
for real, my brother was my first introduction to Korn. He literally had like Korn like plush dolls like in his room and like did his hair in spider dreads. Like he was all
No way.
all about it. He was the full yeah.
So fun! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so I guess, and
He
so
was-
yeah, he had a big part of like taking my music taste in a direction that as I started to kind of like veer off from what my parents had shown me just like as I was young and getting into like middle school and high school and finding different avenues of music.
It's crazy
So who-
that's like everybody's first like big thing is like the middle school exposure to the music, and it's
Real
really great we have
shit.
an older brother like
And,
that.
and I feel
For
like
real.
that those tastes usually eventually change, but like you still remember, like Judge me all you want, but I can still get down with some POD. Like, that was there for me. And
It was there for you.
do
in
I
your time with me,
seek
when
out
no one
music
else-
like
nothing
that
else
now?
was.
No. But, like, it was there for me in ninth grade, man.
I still like Blurry by Puddle of Mud. Like I listen to that song all the time. Like I
So
still
fun.
have such a love for like that era of music because it really is like so nostalgic for me.
It was definitely
just
great
like
for
to
when
be,
you're
like,
an angry
thankful.
teenager, you know?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting
Totally.
phenomenon that was pop music, pop culture music, basically at the time. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. That's how did that?
Everything
sneak
had to
in?
be, like, as
how
hard
did-
as possible.
Ooh, how did that happen? It's kind of crazy. Well, listen, I mean, we're going to talk about like that sort of like middle school music. I mean, I will always, you want to talk about you guys not being judged. I will always have a soft spot for ska. So there's that.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
I was waiting to
The
bring up
forbidden
that you
fruit.
didn't have a new metal phase, but instead,
I never had a new metal phase. I had a ska phase.
I had a
Come
fucking
on,
ska phase. I mean, like, Five Iron
Had a ska.
Frenzy's "Go and Get Your Riot Gear" still kicks.
Mighty
Man,
Boss
I'm gonna
Tones.
put on. I'll put on less than Jake. I
Less
got
than
it.
Jake, right? It's
I was
just
like
so weird to
Warped
me
Tour
that, like, there
era
was
when
a
they were like,
Operation Ivy, yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, yeah.
Operation Ivy, I'll put that on one way
There
or
we go.
another, and I won't have to feel quite as much like silliness about that one. Operation Ivy, of
Yeah, that
course.
was just the
Shout out to
original.
Red Silence for that one. Big D in the kids.
rude boy, pork pie hat type
God.
beat. What were you gonna say?
Mustard plug will be my weak spot, though. I'll put that on. Be like, yeah, let's go. Anyway, so you are okay. So now you're in middle school. Been exposed to some new music. You've now like kind of veered away from your parents' music. You know that there's a bigger world out there because you have the older brother. At what point? When did you start playing instruments? I imagine you must have been exposed to that at a young age.
Yeah, I
Five Iron
I
Frenzy,
played,
Stage Hardware. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I played
Hell yeah, Five Iron Frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
I took like piano and guitar lessons through like the latter half of elementary school and middle school. I just really wanted to be in a band more than anything. And I had friends that were in bands and I would go to their shows and I was always just like, the fuck, that's
Oh,
what I
so
wanna do.
wait, back up for 1 second. Where did you grow up
Yeah.
again?
I grew up in South Jersey.
No, I
Like,
knew it. I knew it. I
20
fucking
minutes over
knew
the
it.
bridge.
Stop.
Yeah.
Pause. I knew you grew up in South Jersey because you're talking about shows and having like friends playing in bands at shows. Because I
Yeah.
grew up in South Jersey as well, and I'm
No shit.
probably
No
older than
way.
you, but it's not. Like, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 31 years old.
See, I'm about 40, and like it's not that much of a difference. Like
Who else
we've
was
been doing
surprised to
shows in
find
South
out that
Jersey.
Heaven Sample's almost 32?
We've been doing shows in South Jersey. Shows in South Jersey, a South Jersey music scene has been a thing for years, for decades.
Dude, it's
so when you
crazy.
told me, like, I knew it right away. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He's like, I go to my friend's shows, and like, wait. I'm like, are you from South Jersey? I didn't even know that. I just gleaned that from the fact that you said you went to your friend's shows. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking of other like geographic locations that are known for that, and I'm like, these got to be from South Jersey.
Yeah,
right. Where are
dude,
you
the
from in South
scene
Jersey,
was
bud?
deep.
Where are you from in South Jersey?
I grew up in Haddon Township. It's called.
Yeah, of course you did. I grew up in Mount Laurel.
Okay, that's my brother I was just talking about, like his mom lived in Mount Laurel, so
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
around
Unreal.
that area.
That whole,
I
like,
wonder
area
if your
right
brother's
there,
probably about Skelly's age.
yeah,
Yeah,
probably about
yeah,
mine.
well, he's
roughly.
yeah,
Maybe, like, a little bit
9 years
older.
older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. He might be like a year or
It'd
two.
be nuts
a year
if you
older.
guys had bumped into each
I don't
other
know,
at some
but I'm
point.
close enough though. But that's
Yeah.
the thing is like South Jersey. This is kind of interesting. A long story history of kids setting up their own shows at like VFW halls and like different
Yep.
places like that. Like we've been doing that forever in South Jersey, and I think that's like it's a very special thing about South Jersey. It's like the kids going and putting down the deposit, underage kids going, putting out a deposit on these VFWs and like setting up shows and making flyers for it. I hope they still do that. I don't know. Maybe they don't, but I hope they do.
In this economy, I hope they do. But
So what we used to do was there was a non-denominational youth group called Pride, and this was like the only thing that it wasn't related to any kind of like religion, but it was related to like being drug free. So it's just like being straight edge, right? So we would get like money for that, and we would set up events, and the events were like promotional events for Pride, but they were really just setting up shows. So we could use that deposit for that. But anyway, so back to your story. I'm just very proud of myself for figuring out you're from South Jersey from that information.
Yeah, good
Um,
deductive reasoning.
you mentioned shows. You're in Philadelphia. I'm like, it's gotta be.
Yup,
But anyway, so
yup.
you saw your friends playing in bands, and you wanted to be in one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was probably in like 8th or ninth grade at that point, and a couple of my buddies were starting to form a band, and my one friend like really wanted to play guitar and sing. My other friend had a bass, and so they were basically like, you can be in the band if you learn how to play the drums, but like we already have a guitar player. And so I was like, shit, well, I don't, and I never played drums before. The only thing I played was guitar and like a little piano, and I was basically just like, well, I want to be in the band, so I'm gonna
Nice.
fucking learn how to play the drums. And it was like what, like we were like covering like Nirvana and like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Pixies and like stuff like
Nice.
that, just in my friend's garage. But like
Nice.
through doing all that, I literally just like taught myself how to play the drums, and I think like just gravitated towards it because I think
You
from
just
an
taught
early
yourself
age,
that.
yeah.
That's hard.
I just and I didn't even have a
crazy.
drum kit. Like I had to go to my friend's house and like play in his
Wow.
garage.
It's crazy.
Unreal.
After like later I got one eventually and stuff, but like, by the time I joined like my first, I guess, like kind of a real band after that, because we never played shows, we just played in the garage. But after I joined my first real band after that, like I had only really ever played in my friend's garage, and like luckily shortly after that my dad let me set up a drum set at his sculpture studio and practice and stuff there. But
Sick.
yeah, then I just started playing in a pop punk band in true South Jersey fashion.
I knew. Yeah, that's right. That's true South Jersey fashion.
Hey man, that punk rock beat, I don't know what you call it.
Like
There's like a specific South Jersey sound. There was a SoundCloud.
That
SoundCloud called. Sorry, but there's
just
I
just
got
the punk rock beat. I love it. What's the SoundCloud?
no, so let me be very specific here. There is like a SoundCloud called like the Tri-State Sound or whatever, and it's a SoundCloud and it has like all the old Tri-State area pop punk bands on there, like a bunch of them, like a bunch of like old Tri-State. Somebody uploaded like all these demos and CDs to this thing. I could call it the Tri-State Sound. I'm gonna look it up later, but it's on SoundCloud and it's like a little compendium of all these like all the Tri-State, Delaware, South Jersey, Pennsylvania, like like bands, and it's like a very specific sounding punk rock too. Like it's the Tri-State sound.
Is it
It's
fast?
Yeah, I mean it's fast. It just kind
Yeah.
of sounds like a little bit like Lagwagon-ish kind of. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but you gotta listen
Like
to it.
skate punk?
You guys know Lagwagon? Maybe I'm not sure. Anyway, but something,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not just that. Something else too. Anyway. So that's true South Jersey sound, true South Jersey tradition. So what was the name of your band?
the first like pop punk band I played in was called Ship to Shore, and we named it after a song by a band called The Movie Life.
Mm.
Oh yeah, of
Which is
course I know the
old-
movie Life. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I know the movie
Damn,
Life.
I don't.
Yeah.
This is going back
Have movie Life. What? I'm gonna go look for that movie.
somewhere in the depths. Yeah. But yeah, we were just like figuring it out. It was just fun.
Hell yeah.
And like, went through and like played in some other bands in high school, eventually got more into like sort of like hardcore like punk bands and stuff like that, which is like funny now that, I've been collaborating a little bit with Sage Hardware and Vape Error and kind of
Hell yeah.
bridging these two worlds of like punk and hardcore and electronic music and
Like
it's
metalcore
funny
meets
how it kinda,
breakcore.
yeah, it kind of came full circle. a little
Perfect.
bit.
I found it. Hold on, I'm gonna put this in the chat. It's called the NJPP Archives, and that's SoundCloud.
Hell yeah.
That's the SoundCloud page that like chronicles
I'm
the
gonna
South
send it
Jersey pop punk vibe.
The NJPP.
Yeah, throw that up in there.
Anyway.
Pacific Plaza would probably
Definitely do that right
appreciate
now.
that. Is there a name for that punk rock beat? The one that has the bass that goes do 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 do, and he just real fast. You know what I'm talking about?
Not sure what you're doing right now.
I don't know.
But
All I
Whenever
know
they
is,
whenever they have really fast punk rock songs.
Like
Sage
D
Hardware
Beat?
says it's called D Beat.
Oh, Sage Hardware
D-Beat.
talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
D-Beat. No, D-Beat is like based on the band, the British band Discharge, and that's
Gotcha.
like that's sort of like bands like Tragedy or Dysphere. There's a lot of bands that do D-Beat, and they all put like dis in their name, like
Nice.
like Dysphere and
I love that particular
a bunch
beat.
of
Like,
other
I
ones
don't,
have dis in
and
it.
Pacific Plaza calls it two step.
Yeah, D-Beat. That's great. I mean, D-Beat is awesome. That's like His Hero
Just
is
that
Gone.
fast
and
punk
stuff
rock
like that.
beat.
That's like one of my. Oh, I love D-Beat. I still love D-Beat. Yeah, like His Hero is Gone and like stuff like that.
My favorite's Taco
We
Beat.
didn't. The New Jersey punk rock did not sound like D beat. It's a little bit.
Damn.
It's much more cuddlier.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Real.
Anyway, how long did you play in that band for?
I don't know, maybe like year and a half, something like that. My timeline is so bad. Like my memory, as I've reached the.
I'm making you reach back right now, anyway.
Yeah, but there was a lot in like the high school era that really like bleeds together a little bit, because I was doing that for a little bit, and then through a girl that I was seeing at the time, I met my friend John, who was more into like indie rock, sort of like Strokes, and I'm like blanking on all this, like Wolf Parade and like like Carrie
Clap Your
Mercer,
Hands,
like
Say
Frog
Yeah,
Eyes,
Interpol.
yeah, that sort of era.
Of course.
The MySpace indie rock era.
Kind of like in like the
Exactly.
early 2000s stuff. Yeah, I guess right.
Yeah,
Early,
And,
late early 2000s maybe.
Yeah, like
yeah.
2007.
Yeah, 6, 7, yeah. So then me and him
Yes,
started
Ayer.
like playing stuff like that.
I feel like Yesayer kind of came along like early 2010s. No,
I think they're right.
like
before.
maybe like right 2009 maybe.
Right before. They're like at the same time as like
Oh, that's a great way of describing it. Pacific Plaza says, "Meet me in the bathroom core."
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's right.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, all that shit.
MGMT.
Me in the bathroom court. Yeah, that's good.
The Lower East Side, Lower East Side sound.
Okay.
But yeah, so we got really into that. I bounced around, man. You know, that's the fun thing about playing drums, is like I was just so obsessed with playing, and I you know, because I kind of grew up from a diverse musical upbringing, like between my parents and my brother and my friends and like all these people who had influenced me musically, like there was so many different genres that I loved, and so I was just up for playing anything, you know, like it didn't matter if it was pop punk or it was meet me in the bathroom core, or it was metalcore, it was hardcore, like whatever. Like I just wanted to play. That's like all I wanted to do.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well, you're multifaceted, you know.
I'm trying.
Cross-trained.
Man, you know? All we can do. Yeah,
that's
I
good.
like that.
Okay,
I like
so then okay, what did you do? So that's high. That's in high school when you were doing that?
Yeah.
So what
Badass.
happens after high school? Where do we go now?
Let's see. After high school, I continue to play drums in more like hardcore bands for maybe like the first
What kind
2
of
years of college.
What kind of hardcore bands?
Um,
What was the style? 'Cause what year are we in right now? Actually,
We are now in about like 2012 maybe. So
Okay.
I'm like second year in college. Very like, so the one band that I played with for a minute was very like technical metalcore. Like
Okay.
I started to
Bad
learn
fucking
how to like
ass.
use like double bass properly, and everything was like accented, like every little guitar hit and drum thing, and I was using bells and like China splash, and like I don't know,
Nice.
I can't play like that anymore, so I don't even know how I did that, but I just practiced and practiced and practiced. and,
yeah,
like,
that's crazy that you were getting into that kind of stuff.
That's so badass, dude. Like math rock type beat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unreal.
And like at that time too, like, you know, again, like, and I wasn't even necessarily like listening to music like that. Like I found myself playing in bands like that, but like this was around the same time that, you know, like I was going to like basement shows in Philly and seeing bands like Algernon Cadwalder and like Midwest
yeah,
emo type
absolutely.
shit. And I was really into, you know, like Braid and
You were into
all
Braid?
those kind of like
Going
Chicago.
back to some of the earlier first like second the wave
Yeah.
emo bands. Like Braid was great. I love Braid. I like Hey Mercedes too, but Braid was always
Hey Mercedes, yeah. So, but there is a lot of crossover
Bob
between
Man is
those kinds
awesome.
of genres when it comes to drumming, especially because they're all very like there's a lot of technicality in the drumming for like some of the metalcore music and also like the Midwest emo kind of stuff. It's so like accented and
very like math rocky.
Yeah,
all kind of like from the the same common ancestor at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Maps
and,
and
like,
atlases.
In one band. It was all the same scene, really. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. But yeah, that's the kind of shit that I was like into, and then, you know, I had a period of time then where I got like really into like the early captured tracks scene, and that was kind of my first foray into like electronic adjacent stuff. Like there was
that
one
sounds
band,
really familiar. Yeah, who was on captured tracks?
this was like Dive, Wild Nothing, Mac DeMarco.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah,
in the
DIIV
early
Dive.
Beach Fossils. Yeah.
Nice, like that surf rock kind of resurgence.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's kind of like fuzzed out.
spells.
You know what I mean? Like as if
tennis.
there was like it's like there was some sand in the actual speakers themselves.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then like around that time, I was the band called Merchandise from Florida. That was like a sort of lo-fi. You know, the singer had a very like croony kind of voice, like Smiths-esque, but they were just like all like 4 on the floor drum machine beats and just like really like sick guitar leads.
Oh, like
and,
the
like,
dance
called
punk
again?
like era.
Merchandise.
Punk is before that. Merchandise, because we're now in like getting up to chillwave practically. If we're talking about like Dive, like that's just we're one step away, and Mac DeMarco, we're one step away.
Absolutely, like chill wave adjacent.
2000 from like we're one step away from like straight up to that early 2010 sound coming next.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
that band really like made me think about electronic production because I saw them live. I don't know, Skelly, if you remember this place. I saw them at a Goldilocks Gallery in Center City.
Remember?
This was, I don't even remember what year this was. It was probably like 2011 or something. But that's what really like planted the seed in my head of like electronic. Like they didn't have a drummer. They played like with a drum machine with samplers. They had like live guitar and bass, but like there was all these electronic components, and that's when my head kind of like wrapped around that sort of like style of music.
Shit. Yeah, Goldilocks Gallery was like a little
kind of traded in their guitars for synths during that recession.
Yeah, that was the time.
Bedroom pop.
When did that place closed? Probably a while ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bro,
That
picture
space was awesome.
There was a picture floating around that I saw on Instagram. I think it was in Manhattan, MoMA or MoMA. They had a huge chillwave festival with like picture plane and teen girl fantasy and a whole bunch of people.
I remember when they did that. I think Neon
in 2011, and it was just unreal to see all those people.
Unreal. And I remember there was a lot of behind the scenes setup videos for that experience too.
It looked pretty badass, like a pre-electronicon almost.
I remember seeing that when I was doing skeleton lipstick and for the first time and being like, oh my god, I was like, this.
I wish I could have gone to that. Damn.
A lot of like the making of videos for that performance. You just totally unlocked that memory in my head.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
Well, Picture Plane posted photos of it, and I was like, oh my god.
Neon Indian was that too.
There was like I think there was a Cold Cave performance at MoMA.
Unreal.
As well, like
Cold Cave
that
was so
time.
badass.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that
transition
picture?
from like post-hardcore music from American Nightmare
Cold Cave
to doing that? Yeah.
I didn't know he used to do post-hardcore. Didn't he do some stuff with Prurient, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Bro, no. He used to do straight up fucking hardcore music. He's the lead singer from
Really?
American Nightmare.
American Nightmare, yeah.
And he's the Wes. That's right, Wes.
Wes Isold.
Dude, I still mostly associate him with American Nightmare because they were huge in like the early 2000s when it came to hardcore music, and that was like they had Farewell is one of my favorite hardcore songs by American Nightmare. But Wes, he was totally doing that before Cold Cave.
Yeah.
He did another band with I think one of the members of Some Girls. Who was in that? I think somebody from the Locust. Probably.
Some Girls? No, a 3-1-G type shit? No way.
He did a band with some.
I didn't know he was affiliated with like
Nightmare,
the Locust.
Some Girls, and then he did Cold Cave. That didn't come till much later.
Dude, I had a hardcore 3-1-G phase in undergrad. I was obsessed with like Holy Molar and Das Oath in
Holy
Headwound
moly,
City and all
that's-
those guys.
am I right
So
about that?
goddamn good, dude.
I gotta look up the Some Girls members now. Justin Pearson was in it, of course.
Yep,
Yeah,
Justin
Lopez.
Pearson was in
I'm right.
everything.
Okay.
I think he was
yeah,
even in Arab on Radar, but I could be misremembering.
No, he was not in Arab on Radar.
He was not in Arab. Well, I know they were on
Wouldn't be
3-1G.
surprised.
Maybe they probably played some
Anyway.
shows together.
Wait, where were we? Hold on. We're losing track. You saw the show at Goldilocks, and then you got really, and then you were listening to well, I got to write that band. What was the band's name again that you really influenced you? I think electronic
Merchandise.
Merchandise. Yeah, they're sick. I have one of their records on vinyl, which I think is like they were a straight DIY. Like they did everything themselves. So like the records that they were bringing to their shows were like all hand assembled, and like they were like no label. So like I can't even find any like pressing information on the record that I have by them, but it's like, yeah, that band I was very heavily influenced by. I remember I also got to see them at 285 Kent in Brooklyn with like I think actually Night Sins played that show as well.
Oh shit! Really?
And yeah, because they were like pretty similar like vibe, you know what I mean? Like Night Sins is definitely a little bit more like dark wave, where Merchandise was a little poppier, but like and also Pharmacon played that show as well.
Oh wow, Pharmacon.
was-
They're very. That's a very interesting artist.
Yeah, that shit like legitimately scared me at the time. I saw them
Imagine.
live and I was like, "Oh, this is terrifying." But it was sick, but like cuz it makes you feel something, you know, but
Let's see.
yeah.
I've not
So-
heard of
and
this
so, yeah.
act. Why is it terrifying? Is it like Swans, where it just like is incredibly loud, or?
It's like seeing her live was just like it was just really dissonant, like droning, kind of like noise. It just instilled like I can't really describe it. I still remember being at that show and being like, this is just fucking intense.
Yeah.
But check out some of that music because it's
Hell
pretty
yeah.
Practically like
interesting.
she's like a practice. We're veering into like the performance artist experimental.
I gotcha.
music,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Respect.
know, what's the word? I guess like world when you talk about her, Pharmacon. That is to say.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Damn,
So
it's crazy.
So
talking
can I
about
still
this.
find music by Merchandise? Is that out there or it's not?
Yeah, so like they went on so after a period of time when they were like really DIY, they did end up signing to a label. I think they actually put out a record on 4AD.
Oh
in
no
maybe,
way.
like,
4AD.
20
Okay.
Yeah, in like 2016 or something. They had been like all DIY, and then they did this record where they like came out of Florida and recorded at like a high budget studio and like did this album, and there's like some good tracks on it, but nothing really for me like matched the authenticness of like the early home recorded kind of stuff. Like I appreciate the
Different feel altogether.
songwriting and everything from the newer albums, but yeah, they definitely got like some mainstream
They probably someone at 4AD maybe even told them like, hey, listen, you know, you're gonna want to make your stuff more accessible, and then maybe that's what a shame. I see that happen to a few bands.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of
So-
times, like those DIY, like especially in the chillwave movement, I feel like once they got a budget, it just got, not to paint with a broad brush, but it got kind of boring. Like Twin Shadows' second album, Night Jewel's album,
man.
they got kind of boring. And I'm hot take,
Man, I
man, but I
agree.
feel
And,
like the
like,
first
you know-
Toro y Moi was the best Toro y Moi. The
Wait,
only
is-
exception is Brother
Oh.
Tiger.
You're right,
That is a
and
hot
like,
take.
wait, is Limerence isn't in the chat, is he?
I hope they are, but probably
no, just
not.
because like, you know, he really loves Washed Out and the new Washed Out
That
stuff,
is
and like
true.
I gotta say, like I didn't like it as much when he
It's
cleaned
not
up
as
his
good
act.
as the early
Good
stuff.
samples.
Sorry. And I like Neon Indians era.
But I don't want
Stranya,
to
but
cast aspersions because I know that is Limerence's favorite, and I'm not.
oh,
throwing shade,
Limerence will
I'm
be
never-
fine.
Eric Stranya was a huge album for me.
It was so
Like,
goddamn good.
I used to
Amazing.
watch their KEXP session from that album tour.
Oh
Like,
my god, the
I would watch
KEXP
that,
session.
like,
Nothing inspired me to make music more than those things.
for real. And like that Neon Indian one where they all have all
Yep.
these crazy like analog and modular synthesizers, and they're all just like so locked in. Like it's
Oh my
incredible.
god, that was insane. There's like one performance of that, and I saw like a small black performance doing like photojournalist with other synths too, and like that's like one
Oh,
of my favorite.
shout out New Chain. That album was so good. I was just thinking about Small Black the other day because I'm going to see them at Altered States, and I was like, oh, the first album that was real crusty sounding. But then they actually did a little bit of a glow up too. The Moonkiller mixtape is phenomenal. Like that was some proto vaporwave. But yeah, New Chain, man. Oh, that's a great album.
That KEXP, yeah, man. Of course, that KEXP performance.
Got me excited.
Neon
Sorry.
Indian, you're right. They're so locked in, and you're like, wow. It just you're just like, well, this is what a live music band can look like. Holy fuck! Like what a revolution. You know what I mean? Looks so much fun, so creative. Like everybody was just doing something completely different, and like you're just like, I gotta get a synthesizer. I gotta pick up something and do it.
For real. Yeah.
Do things differently. That is maybe those KXP performances, but particularly that Neon Indian one. It's just funny that I think that a lot of people saw that. Like I saw that too, and you did it as well. And I think many people did. And were like, whoa! And like I immediately wrote Glows and Melts after that. Like that was crazy.
Nice.
It's very, very inspiring stuff, honestly.
So this is like 2011, 2012 then, right?
Yeah.
That's a great era for music.
Yeah. And then I played in more like 2013, I joined my first what I would consider my first like real band playing drums. Was a band called Literature. That was kind of like
like Keats Collective era.
Like it was like twee pop on crack. Like it was
maybe I'm
just
thinking
like,
of a different Literature.
Yeah. It was like it wasn't that far off from like some of the captured track stuff and like, you know, very like Beach Fossils-esque, but they paid homage a little bit more to like Paisley Underground music. They really liked stuff like Robin Hitchcock and I guess more like experimental 70s and 80s music. But that was kind of my first, and I joined that band from a friend sharing a Facebook post of them just posting, "Hey, we're moving from Austin to Philadelphia and we need a drummer." And I responded
Really?
to like a Facebook post.
I love that story.
And then like, you know, we ended up recording an album that came out on Slumberland Records. We toured the US, we toured Japan. And yeah,
That's unbelievable, dog.
Japan?
Yeah.
That's badass.
And that's crazy. I love when we've talked to a lot of people on this show like that I didn't know toured and have toured like in crazy countries. What was that like? Okay, because we were talking to Future Funk Rocker about his touring experiences last time and what that was like. He had some stories. What was touring like for you? Was it difficult?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Were you happy to be home when it was done? Did you miss it? Like, tell me about that. So
that like era of touring, I look back on it with such fond memories because like I still think of myself as a kid, you know, like when I played the first show with Literature, like the first real show we kind of played was at the Cake Shop in the Lower East Side in New York, and I was still 20 years old at that point.
Crazy,
and like
man.
had to like basically like coerce the bouncer to let me in to play our own headlining show because they were like, "You're not 21, you can't come in this venue." I was like, "Well, like the people in here are here to see us play, so I don't know what you want me to do."
You want to tell everybody out in the audience, man?
But
wow.
but yeah, so I think back on those memories
God.
like so fondly, but you know, it is still very stressful because, you know, at that time, like we're doing tours, like we're, you know, fucking sleeping on people's floors, like we're sleeping in the van,
Crazy.
you know, I'm
I
like,
can't believe it.
yeah, like I have a job, a part-time job at a grocery store, and it's like they're not going to let me take off a month to go tour, so I have to quit the grocery store, then go on tour, and then try to get them to hire me back, so I can
This is
like
when
make
you were in
money.
Literature. This is when you were in Literature.
Yeah.
So that's fucking crazy. So this is like 2012, is it right?
No, this is like more like 20. I did Literature from like 2014 2013 to like 2016.
Oh, so that's like during their second album.
Yeah.
So they had like the first album. I know they have 2 albums, and one
Yeah,
is called like Chorus, right? Is that the second
That's
one?
the one I played on. Yeah.
That's fucking that's a good album. That's an awesome album,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
I
That was
really like that album. I didn't know you were. I did not know you were in literature.
Yeah, that was a very amazing time. Like recording that album, we recorded it in New York with this guy Gary Olson, who also worked on like Crystal Stilts. He worked with like Frankie Rose. He worked with some of those like New York kind of like noise pop-ish kind of artists. But we recorded at his studio. He had like some of the most incredible gear. Like original, 808, like CE1 chorus pedals, like
Shit.
just incredible, like vintage microphones, and like
The guitar work on that album is very like. I mean, the whole sound is like very expansive. It's like psychedelic, like Donovan, like just like splattered out everywhere.
Yeah.
Like guys, if you, I'm familiar with literature. I'm a fan of literature. I'm very cool to talk to you and know you're in literature. Guys,
That's awesome.
I definitely recommend that album. Chorus. It's a very good album. I listened to it back in the day, and it's a super cool. Great job, my friend. Great job.
Is that you on the left in that picture on their Bandcamp?
Probably. If I have
does it
glasses
just kind of look like? Yeah, is that you with the button up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you. That's great.
I gotta look this picture up later.
I don't even know.
How do you look so much younger now? And I mean that as a compliment. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know.
Maybe that just came out of my mouth. My bad.
It was like a button.
Yeah, it looked like
kind
the
of
age
style,
in reverse.
You know?
Yeah, it was the little like floral button up.
Yeah. Like the sweaters with
Oh,
the
I
collars
miss not having a
underneath, and we
belly.
were all like.
Yeah, twee
Yeah,
as fuck.
It was a funny, twee as fuck for real. That was a funny time. Yeah, but touring was amazing. Like we got a chance to play with some incredible bands. Like we played with the Drums. We got to do some shows opening up for the Drums.
That's
we
badass.
Played. We got to play with Sebado.
Wow.
Lou Barlow from Dinosaur Jr.
Wow.
Yeah, we got
Your favorite
some great
person
opportunities.
Let me ask you, who was your favorite person you played with?
Like that we got to like open for? That's a great question. Maybe the Drums, honestly, because I was like obsessed with that band when we were like doing that, doing literature. Like they were like a huge inspiration for me, and it really felt like at that time, if I was going to pick a band to open for, like it would have been them regardless of if we had gotten the opportunity.
It's like a dream come true, man.
I love that for you.
So it was amazing.
For Sebado, that's like
that's pretty wild.
Imagine like you're like, whoa.
That was a random one.
Crazy. Do you have any stories of was anybody really nice to you that was from the bands? Like, who was a really cool band that you liked that were really cool to you guys?
Yeah, I mean the dudes in Sebado honestly were really cool. They were like
awesome.
They were like fucking with us on stage a little bit because the venue we played was like really stingy with the green room beers. So Lou was like on stage between songs and asked someone to bring him a beer, and he didn't know this, but we had already drank all the beer. And he was like kind of ringing us out on stage a little bit, and then our bass player Seth like felt bad, so he went and paid for a round of beers on his own tab and like brought them to the stage for Lou.
Oh, that's funny.
Which was really funny. But yeah, we played a lot with this band called Wild Honey from Baltimore. That were like kind of a shoegaze band. I know me and Sage Hardware have talked about this before, because he's told me he was really into Wild Honey, but they were an amazing band. Some of those people went on and started a band called Dummy that's I think still active out of LA. And yeah, so we toured with them all the time. There was another band called Expert Alterations that we toured with all the time. All really nice, like sweet people. We had like a nice little kind of East Coast scene going. Like we would just play badass. Like DC, Baltimore, Philly, New York like all the time, and just do the loop and had friends like that were playing in bands that were just sweet people, and it was just like a really cool time to like be involved in music, I think.
It sounds like it, man.
Yeah.
Buddy, you didn't like?
I was wondering if you were gonna ask who
You
sucked.
don't have to say. You don't have to say. It's fine. Just kidding.
Who sucked? Dude, I don't know. My brain is so gone. Like, even I'm impressed that I've even been able to remember this much about those. So like I'll like talk in tangents because like little bits and pieces will come to me, but like, dude, I don't even know.
Dude, some of our guests have like gone on Twitter after the show and been like, "That's what I meant to tell you guys that I forgot about." And that'll probably happen. You'll be like,
I'll
"Oh."
probably have to do that. For real.
The whole
No, for
esprit
real.
de Scalier missed opportunity type.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Wow. All right. So. Then what? When did you? When did it? What happens next?
Yeah. So that I'll we've been going for a while, so I guess I'll keep the next portion a little brief. After literature, I played in a band called in Philly called Mercury Girls. Also put out like an EP on Slumberland.
That's familiar. Yeah.
Oh, did we lose him? Oh, there he is.
We got. I heard something. Pains of being pure at heart. What are you saying?
Okay. So one of the last shows that Mercury Girls played, we opened up for the Pains of Being Pure at Heart.
That's great.
And it was at that show at the time, my buddy Anton, who now is the drummer for Beach Fossils, was playing drums in Pains, and
Unreal.
he had just gotten the offer to play drums in Beach Fossils, and so, you know, Kip from Pains knew that I was in literature, like just, you know, had us open in Mercury Girls like for the Pains, knew Anton was leaving, so I got like a Facebook message from Mike, the owner of Slumberland Records, and he was like, yo, like Kip wants you to play drums in Pains, like do you want to do it? Like it's gonna be a lot of touring.
That's unreal.
It's gonna be.
And I was
that
like,
sounds stressful. That's so much work.
yeah, and I was like, I think I want to do it, but yeah, I was like, I feel like I can't say no, but
Whoa, stop. So you agreed to play drums in Pains of Being Pure at Heart?
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's honestly, like, I'm just trying to put my mind in your mind right now, and like I don't know if I could do it. I'm not sure if I would be like, oh my god, that's like you are in career territory now. That is a band that is well known. That is a band that has been around for a while. They have a whole touring unit set up. I mean, what happens next?
They Kip from Pains like hit me up. He was like, yo, dude, I'm so glad that you're down to do it. He's like, here's the set, it's 22 songs, if you could just like learn it as fast as you can, and like our first tour is gonna be like 2 weeks in the UK, and that's in like a month.
Oh my god,
bruh.
And he was like,
man.
and he was like, two of the members live in LA, and like I live in Princeton, and then one of us lives in New York, so like we probably won't really get to practice, so if you can just like learn the songs, that'd be great.
Learn it once without anybody there. Let's go. And not meet anybody.
Bruh.
Did you get to meet them?
We did. I'm being a little dramatic, but no, we had 2 practices as a full band between the time that I said yes to doing it and the time that we left for the UK tour. We had like 2-hour long rehearsals.
You played drums in the Pains of Being Pure at Heart.
And you had to learn all the songs.
A year and a half.
What the fuck,
like,
dude?
ready to tour.
You were up here at I2K like, this is my first show. I was like, you got this, kid. There's nothing to be nervous about.
It's my first, but I've been behind the drums. It's such a different.
You got a professional in here.
And like,
I was just like, you got this.
And
Don't be nervous.
It is really.
Come
so
on up here.
though.
Fucking unreal.
But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was.
Tell me about, you toured with them for a year and a half.
About that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Was
so
it
I did.
stressful, or did you, when you finally, because like, you know, this is a very high tier, you know, indie band, and that's a lot of responsibility. So what was it tough, or did you get into the groove of it, or you know, how did that
Yeah, it
go?
was tough. It was definitely tough. It was like, you know, and I was seeing someone at the time, and it was very strenuous on the relationship,
no.
and
I can imagine,
because
you're never around.
Yeah, I mean, and like I am, but then it's like as soon as I get back, you know, I'm back for like a couple weeks, but then like I know that I'm leaving again, and you know, it was a lot of touring, but it also wasn't quite enough touring where I was like always gone. So like I still had to like kind of figure out work in between, which was like a really awkward thing because
That's
like
weird place to be
it
at.
would
It's hard.
they would go on tour for like 2 or 3 weeks and then come home for like 2 months. And if it was like
Wow.
a little bit more frequently, I probably could have like 100% lived off of it. But because there were such these big lulls like in between, like I was like doing like food delivery and
Mhm.
Because it's not like
just,
you're not getting songwriting credits. You can't like they can
no.
like they can live off their Spotify. You know, they can live off of
Yeah,
their
yeah,
music
yeah.
plays. You're a session guy. You
Yeah,
depend
exactly.
on them touring. Them that's
Yeah.
touring,
That's a very
obviously, is
good
the
point.
bulk of what they make, but then they go home. They got 2 months left. You know, we'll release a new album, or you
Yeah.
know, we'll just live off the royalty streams. Whatever like songs
Yep.
played in a movie. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
that benefit.
exactly.
That's a
No.
hard
Damn,
spot
that is
to be
tough.
in.
You got some
Yeah,
good
so
stories.
Experience.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
You're right. You gotta be like that must have been hard to be like, well, do I keep touring with this like relatively like well-known band, or do I like I gotta you know I'm not making enough money to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely reached that point where I was like,
So the
this,
strain
like,
on the relationship.
yeah, I'm having the time of my life and I'm getting to go to places like I know I'll never get to probably experience like on my own, but at the same time, like playing in a touring band like that is also extremely repetitive and
Oh, I didn't even think
I
about that.
it's like I'm playing the same set list every night and like low key a lot of the songs are like the same beat, like it's kind of like
Yeah, good
mid-tempo
point.
indie rock and it's a lot of like do do ga do do ga do do ga and it's like there's only so much you can kind of do of that until you're like I don't know.
How many
I'm
more
kinda
Right.
songs
all
left? How many
over it.
more songs do we have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And they're not
Yeah,
even-
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
At least you
like
weren't
it's your
wearing
songs.
yourself
You
out
care.
like you probably were when you were playing hardcore.
Well, I mean, like it's
Real.
also you're not doing hardcore. You're not doing like fucking braid beats. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah,
like,
but
or,
I'm
like,
playing like an hour and 15 minutes straight, so it's like
That's true.
even if it's not breakbeat
Wow.
or you know it's like it's just the length of time too and like
and they're
Yeah.
also they're not your songs either. So it's like I think there'd be a
Exactly.
different attachment.
That's
like,
true.
This is my song.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Very
This was
good
my
point.
song. If I helped write this, I might be feeling differently about like people being
A
in the
little more
audience too.
fire behind it, maybe.
Like it's a
Yeah.
that's a great experience to have, and it's like really cool, and it's a experience I think that very few people get to go through, and I think that you got just the right amount of it.
yeah because like
Just
getting
right
to go to
amount of it.
Japan with literature felt so much more fulfilling because it was like we
Yeah.
made this record together, like
Sick.
we are getting this opportunity to
sense.
do something awesome.
Sense.
And that's like all our own thing, and like I definitely was very grateful for the opportunity with Pains and like still am and you know have enjoyed my time so much, but it was like it was just it was full on like a different kind of feeling because
Interesting, yeah.
I just got
Your
brought
fault.
in, you know.
Interesting though, you compared it to like the literature Japanese tour to the Pains one, and like I think that you brought up that's a really good observation about the difference. And the
yeah
wow. So I think were they nice? Were the members cool?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, they're all great. I'm still like friends with them. Like I still talk
Good.
to Christoph. Actually plays guitar in Wild Nothing now. So I saw
Oh,
them
very cool.
at World Cafe Live the last time they came through. I still anytime Beach
Badass.
Bosses come through, I still like meet up with Anton and yeah. So I still still love
I
talking
love
to
that.
those guys and still friends with all them. Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
very
guys,
cool.
we need to open it up to the chat to ask their questions. I hate to cut
Didn't even
this
get
off
to Heaven Sam
because I'm
yet.
having so much fun. I'm going to ask a transitional question. What was your
Okay,
first
good.
experience with vaporwave?
Oh, thank you.
And
Yeah.
and y'all flood the chat with your questions.
Thank you. All right, because
So-
now I think we're getting caught up to like when like it's time for him to do his own stuff.
Yeah. First experience with vaporwave. So all the music stuff aside, I was also growing up really into rollerblading, inline skating, aggressive
Yeah.
skate parks, grinding rails, all these things. So, in like either 2016 or 2017, there's a like company collective from Philadelphia that are some of my homies now. They're called Basement. They're two pro rollerbladers, brothers, really nice guys. They would make videos. Their skating abilities are godly. They were like the best pros that we had like come out of Philly, in my opinion. And they would make skate. They made skate videos of themselves. And it was very hip hop based, but because of that, they did a lot of like transitioning music and like remixes they would hear like on SoundCloud, I guess, and like different stuff. So they definitely used a Luxury Elite song in one of their videos.
What? Which one? Do you know?
Definitely. I think they used SWAC, the SW.
Nice.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. But to see what they would do is they would find these like vaporwave adjacent songs or vaporwave songs because they used the same samples as like some of the hip hop songs that they were using in the videos, and they would like cut them together basically in these edits. And so they like, I definitely heard like Twin Palms by Corp in one of their videos.
Oh, that's hard.
I heard even like the Mac Plus shit that's like the sample of the Diana Ross It's Her
Frank.
Move.
Oh yeah, Lisa Frank 420.
Or yeah. So that was like my first time, I think, like kind of hearing vaporwave and like being aware of, I guess, like what it was, because I would hear these like mashups that they would do in the skate videos, and then I wanted to like know what these songs were, so then I would just like go on my own and try and find them and stuff. So yeah, it's funny that like I feel like I got to vaporwave not even through music, but it was through the other.
That's still sick as fuck though. And I mean, you were playing in chillwave bands, so you kind of already had the love of like retro nostalgia.
Yeah.
Your musical path and the stuff that you were listening to and inspired by, and even some of the bands you played in, like that's all like you're 1 degree away from vaporwave the whole time.
Yeah, you really were.
Right.
I know, right?
The whole thing. It's
yeah.
That it happened. It didn't happen until then through the skate videos.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like musically, you're just a degree off.
True.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like I was very aware back then of like George and like Negative Gemini's music and stuff, but I had no idea that those worlds were like in any way connected. Like when I heard like
George like directly from it.
Yeah, like the first time I heard George Clanton, like I never would have like paired that with like, oh, this is like in the same realm as like, the stuff I heard in the Basement Skate videos. Like this is in the same world as like, yeah, had no idea what like 100p was, like had no idea how all these artists were like connected. And it's funny now because I have such like a fragmented introduction to vaporwave, I feel like. But
like literally,
I think that's super cool though.
Just funny because like 2 more clicks on a browser and you would have just been right there.
For real.
Yeah.
2
for
more
real.
clicks, like,
I know, right?
Like a little. Get like just go one person, like just read a little bit more about George Clanton, and like you'll accidentally fall into like.
He's also a spree fantasy. Like, why do we have all these Japanese like katakana in the title? What's that all about? Oh, lots of people did that.
And then at what point did you like be like, oh, this stuff is connected? Like, when did that happen?
That's a great question.
What was the chain of whatever they call it?
It definitely happened late.
Chain of custody.
Like, I think it was even as late as like when they were doing like the virtual utopias, and I was seeing, I swear to God, like I don't think I really like pieced the puzzle together of like how all this stuff was connected like until maybe even like over like COVID time, honestly.
You're talking about you didn't even piece it together until after the festival?
Yeah, or like dirt. Yeah.
The festival?
I remember those.
Go to Electronicon 1?
Oh, he's talking about Utopia Virtual, right? Like the live stream events?
the live streams. I'm
asking so that's after Electronicon.
Is it? I don't know.
That was after the first 2 Electronicons. You're right. So do you remember hearing about Electronicon 1 or 2?
You remember hearing about Electronicon?
I definitely saw a flyer for Econ 2, I think. I definitely wasn't turned on for Econ 1.
All right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or the LA one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pieced it together
yeah,
from those things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't like a very online person, and I also
Busy
didn't
touring.
really like. Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I also just like I didn't really like I didn't research music a lot. Like I would like go in and like find songs or artists that I like or albums that I like, and like I would just like add them to playlists, and like I wasn't really like taking the time to understand, I guess, the framework of all of it. So like, yeah, a little strange.
Somebody in chat asked, well, not somebody, Juge asked who your favorite drummer is.
Good question.
My favorite drummer.
Question.
There's a lot of different kinds of drumming. Like,
Yeah, that's very true.
Okay.
I respect people who are just like in the pocket, honestly. I don't know his name, but I love watching the drummer from Kroingbin. Like, so simple, but like so dialed. Like, that band honestly like is very impressive, but just has this like deep pocket groove, and like I don't feel like I'm in I didn't learn like technically how to play drums very well. Like, I can play fast and like hard because I learned to play with my arms because I played in like punk bands and stuff. So I don't have all the like chops that, you know, some of these jazz drummers or you know, people who like grew up kind of like playing with this like overly like technical skill. So I just like I respect people who are just like locked to the tempo, in the pocket, like nice groove, stuff like that. So
Wild. Love that descriptor. You definitely like know what you're looking for. I would have thought about like technical virtuoso or just very, very good internal metronome, or just like, I don't know, people who seem like they could just go for hours. That's what I would think. But it's an interesting thing that you use to decide who the best is.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you could describe the best. So, I don't know, but like when I see people that are just like locked, and it's maybe not even about the drummer, but the way that the drummer interacts with the rest of the band as well, because I think that there's a lot to be said about that. But yeah.
Rochecorp, what is your favorite Fruitiger Arrow film?
No comment.
There are Fruitiger Arrow films?
I don't know.
We talking about like Finding Nemo?
Wrong. Yeah, wrong answers only. Name your favorite Fruitiger Arrow film.
Steven Sevag, favorite George Clanton album?
I do really like I do really like Urapaya. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a really good album.
I just love the production on it so much, and I think like there's a lot that I picked up on, especially from like the literature days and some of the music that I was listening to back then, of this sort of like psychedelic element to it that's like in some of the effects and the way that some of the instruments are like processed and things, that like I made a lot of connections listening to it. But I definitely have spent the most time with 100% electronica. So
Nice.
It's a tough choice. Like, that was definitely the album I think that really like got me into George. So it'd probably be a toss up between the two.
Very cool. They got some great singles on 100% Electronica, man. I feel like I think Never Late Again is probably like one of the best things he's ever made.
Yeah, that just came on my shuffle when I was driving to the pharmacy before this.
Hard.
Yeah.
Pacific Plaza. Make It Forever is a phenomenal single. I remember the first time, like, I think he led Slide with Dumb. That was the first single. And I was like, oh, this is a fun new sound. And then Make It Forever came out and has that quiet intro, and it's just like, bah! And I was just like, yes, this is great. What a hook. Oh, man. Pacific Plaza has a great question. Weirdest venue or show space you played?
Oh, man. I feel like there's probably so
That's
many.
a great question. Wait a second.
That is
I didn't
actually
ask the
an
full
amazing
question. weirdest venue or show space you've played in your Pat bands.
Yeah, my Pat bands, of course. So I'll just say the weirdest show that we ever played was on the literature chorus tour. We were in is it Iowa? We were in the
Some
in the
flyover
middle
state.
of nowhere. We had a show that basically got canceled like super duper last minute. It was supposed to be at a record store, and the guy who booked the show for us got fired from the record store like the day before.
What
And
the
they
fuck?
had to cancel the show.
Oh my
So we
God.
put
Damn.
out
That's
we
so
put out
cold.
like we put out like an APB. It was like, we're in fucking Iowa. I think it was Iowa. And we're like, we don't have anywhere to play. Like, if anyone can hook us up with a show, like, please let us know. And someone hits us up and it's like, yo, like, I don't really know if it's your kind of style, but there's this house show going down in so-and-so Iowa. Like, y'all should pull up and play. And we're like, we don't have anything else to do, so like, we may as well. We pull up to the show. It's at this dude's house. The dude's really standoffish, like really weird vibe. He's like shirtless in his kitchen, like heating up chili. I'm just like, is this a show? Like, what's going on? And we set all our stuff up. We noticed like none of the other artists like really have like any equipment, and we're like, the vibes were just so strange. The first artist goes on, and it's this woman just like basically like wearing a mask. It was basically, in short, it was all performance art. It was all like, it was this woman that was wearing like a makeup mask, and she had these like really abysmal like projections behind her, and I think she had like a contact mic that was on some piece of metal that she was hitting, and just like going up to people in the crowd and making them feel really uncomfortable was like the whole bit.
I like you looked around like nobody else has instruments.
Yeah, like what's going on
Is
here?
this a
So it's
shoe
all
show?
It's
Great.
all performance art and like harsh noise in this basement that like 5 people are at in Iowa. And then fucking literature pulls up and we're just like, hey, how's everybody doing?
Rock and roll.
Yeah, and it's just, oh my god, it was the strain, like
I think shirtless chili man.
we ended up playing like 4 songs and we were just like, it's not
Like, we're
not
good.
landing. Yeah,
Dude,
Wow.
like, it's those small Midwest and like just flyover state towns where the noise scenes are alive and goddamn well, for sure.
Yeah. And like, no judgment, like there's some sick noise music, but like just the sheer like difference of what they already had like going on and like bringing us into their world was just like it was so
The
ridiculous.
contrast.
Yeah,
was
that's
stark.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really funny. You could put that in a movie. That's great.
We are
Yeah.
bricked up with questions, y'all.
All right, we gotta get
1 year. Yeah, we gotta mow through these. We got some good ones. 1 year experiment.
So much to talk about.
There is, and we got to keep the audience
Questions,
happy.
though. They're asking
1 year
good questions.
experiment. Wants to know if you have any drum-related hot takes. So go ahead and get that
I don't-
flame GIF going.
Well, I don't think they're hot takes. But I don't think that like anyone there's never a situation where you need more than a snare drum, a rack tom, a floor tom, and a kick drum. Like,
wow.
there's just no there's
What about
no
the cymbals? You
need.
don't need cymbals?
Well, yeah, I mean like the cymbals, obviously. If so, I guess my hot take would be like, unless you're pulling up to a show and you have a crash cymbal, a ride cymbal, a hi-hat, a snare, a rack, a floor, and a kick drum. If you have anything more than that, and Sage is probably gonna get mad at me because I know that like they're definitely gonna want me to play with a China cymbal for some of these.
I love
tracks
China
that
cymbals.
we're working on. And like I'm not mad about it. I think it'd be fun, but like it definitely like a little bell goes off in my head if I see a drummer pull up to a show and he has like more than that configuration, I'm like, I don't.
This guy's extra.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
too much. Yeah, let's calm down a little bit. All right.
Calm down a little bit.
That's a hot take.
That is a hot
Could
take.
be.
Yeah.
We got a fan favorite question, courtesy of our longtime community member and mod. Strip Silence likes to always ask to rank these 3 things in order of importance: album title, album art, and track titles.
That's a great question.
It really is.
Where it's old.
I will say, I feel like I have to go. I feel like I have to go maybe track titles first. I think that we're in such like a singles era that people are, if people even
That's a
are
hot
releasing, if people are even releasing full-length albums at this point, like they're going to lead up to it, like releasing probably half of the album as singles. So if you release a single that has a bad track title, I feel like that's like an immediate, kind of, it can be an immediate turning point. I think honestly for me it's track title, then album art, then album title.
Okay.
I think
I can see that. That's different from what most of our guests say. But
you know what? Yeah. Track title is probably more important than you're right. Track title might be more important than we keep giving it credit for. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I love all of the titles of those Telepath tracks, man.
I think that album artwork is extremely important, but also, I will forego a shitty cover if the song has an interesting name. I think.
Oh, this is a very interesting perspective.
This is I do like this.
First person to give that answer.
If the name is bad, then I don't even know. Is there there's not even a lot of song titles that are jumping out at me that are like, oh, I'm definitely not listening to that.
I feel like a lot of like early
named,
90s
blah, blah,
like
blah.
grunge albums had a bunch of like just one word titles. They would always be named like Dirt or Soap.
Yeah.
Dust.
No, I fuck with
It's like that's the whole.
I fuck with that.
Tell me I'm wrong.
It's
Go
dirt.
look at a bunch of early 90s grunge. It'd be like
I think
Gasoline.
you have like some like Nirvana title
Yeah.
songs, and they're like very bad titles of territorial pissings.
Oh, is that why? Oh, okay. I'm not going to act like I know shit about shit. I've just observed.
Actually,
No,
that's a Full of Mud
I think you're
song, right?
valid.
Jumper Kimmins
Territorial
asked.
pissings?
Territorial
All right, go
pissings.
ahead.
You heard it on Hot Takes.
Nirvana
Jumper
song.
Kimmins with a banger. Serious question. You got any Roy Clark?
Oh man, are we going down this rabbit hole now?
Should I just ask all of the Roge Corpse Island inside jokes questions?
No, this is not an inside joke. Jumper Kimmins and I have bonded over our affinity for Longmont Potion Castle. If you're not familiar, Longmont
I'm
Potion
not.
Castle is a cult classic prank phone caller.
Longmont
been-
Potion Castle. Googling this
He
shit
has
right
been
now.
releasing prank phone call albums like literally since the 90s.
Oh,
And,
wow.
It's I don't really know how to explain it. You're probably
He's a
just gonna have to
surrealist
experience
prank
it.
caller?
Yeah, it's.
Now you got my attention. Surrealist.
I think you'll love it. In short, I think you'll love it. But Jumper Kimmins and I, he went to a record store in Nashville that this guy Longmont Potion Castle had prank called and put in one of his albums, and got a hat, which I actually have. I can't reach it right now, but it's right over here. Got a hat from this record store and sent it to me in the mail because he's such a sweet,
What?
sweet man.
Wow.
Wait, Jumper Kimmins got that hat for you?
Well, he got the hat and then he said it didn't. He said it didn't fit him. So then he knew that I loved Longmont and he sent it to me.
He is.
Jumper Kimmins
definitely
is
that
an
kind of
angel.
person.
He sent me
He
a
is that-
video,
that's so on
a
brand.
VHS
Totally.
copy of a Banjo-Kazooie promotional Nintendo tape, just because I thought it was
Oh, that's
cool.
amazing.
He's like, "What's your address?" And I was like, "No." And he was
That's
like,
what he did to
sent
me.
Yeah.
me a holiday. He sent me holiday cards. It was.
"Are you shitting me?" Wow.
Yeah,
We
I'll
do
take
not
that, yeah.
deserve
Jumper
we do not
Kimmons, we don't deserve
Jumper
Jumper
Kimmons.
Deserve
Kimmons.
Jumper Kimmons.
Sage Hardware wants to know what your favorite tour story of all is.
Favorite tour story. Y'all are really putting me on the spot here.
And you brought it on yourself for having an interesting experiences.
Wait a minute, you sent Roche Corp nudes?
Who?
You? Oh, I guess no, Jumper Kimmons. My bad.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I thought he was talking about you.
Damn, favorite tour story. So one of the so in the literature days, we had to very often we found ourselves in situations where we had nowhere to stay and we had no money to really get hotels or motels or whatever. And there was one night we played in Oklahoma City, and we at that point in the tour we were like halfway through and we were like very broke, and we basically set out for the night and we said, like, one of us has to meet someone, make a connection, make a friend, like make a maybe a one night stand, anything. Someone needs to come away from this night and make for us to stay at their house because like we don't have any other option.
Fucking fun.
And it was because you were like running out of money.
Yeah, we had no money. We were
Yeah,
in the
nowhere to
middle of
sleep.
Oklahoma, and we ended up doing it somehow.
Happened.
Our bass player Seth ended up meeting this girl, and I guess they, whatever. They were chatting, having some drinks after the show, and she was okay with bringing us all back if it meant that her and our bassist could maybe have a little alone time.
Wow,
And,
what a charming Casanova.
So we get back to her house, and she didn't tell us this, but she was like, she had all these instruments in her house. Like, I don't know what her deal, and I still going from time to time because it's like in my memories. And she had literally like a trombone, a saxophone, and a piano, like all in her living room in this house. And so we go back and stay at her place. Her and Seth like go to have their little I guess time, whatever, and then we all just take all the instruments that are in our house. At this point it's probably like 3:00 in the morning, and we're all like blackout drunk, and we just start blowing the trombones, the saxophones, playing the pianos.
Oh my god,
the most like dissonant, and we're all just like crying, laughing because it's so ridiculous. But
Can you imagine
That's
just walking
hilarious.
in and the living room's full of instruments? Let me tell you, man.
like
The world is such a strange place. This is such a strange. People like watch movies and are like, that could never happen. Like, I'm like, that could never happen. Have you gone outside and like just like wandered around a little bit and talked to people for like 25 minutes? Just like go. You think that anything you see in movies or like anything that happens in a movie is weird. Here's what I want you to do.
Oh, yeah.
Walk outside. Talk to one person, and then have them introduce you to somebody, and then have them introduce you to somebody. I just see where it goes, and you'll end up with the fucking Trombone House. Like, you'll end up with the
Trombone
fucking
House.
man cooking chili.
Trombone House.
Yeah.
Never
With the
forget.
man
Shirtless man
and there's
cooking chili at the noise
Like,
show.
This is the weirdest fucking reality. I swear. And people like they like act like this is so fucking weird. Like that's of course it was Trombone House.
Yeah,
Trombone
and
House.
talking about it like sometimes feels like a different life.
Did you guys get any
I can't
sleep
even
that night?
imagine that I'm the same. No, like we didn't. We
But
barely
imagine I'm the
slept
same.
that
This is
whole
Right.
tour.
interesting.
It was
This is-
just, it was abysmal. But
hey, you're making a very interesting existential observation right now. You're like, I can't even imagine that is the same person.
yeah, it is really bizarre.
I lived a weird life myself, and like I feel the same way. Like I'm like I cannot
man.
believe this is the same person. And I look around, and I'm like, I'm just sitting here. This is a normal day. I'm talking to my friends online. I'm like, no, others. Then you think of like something like that incident. You're like, huh, that was me too, huh?
like, what is that person doing right now? Like, are they chilling? Like, it's just funny. Like all the paths that you cross. And the
Yeah, man, it's a
random
weird world.
things that happen, and just like
Weird.
thinking back on it is it's funny.
Cool, man. That's a good story.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. You understood the
I got the
the
assignment.
homework. You got the assignment. Thank you.
The
Saturn
assignment.
Fu wants to know. She just said Heaven Sample, Alanis Morissette song.
Yo, that is so funny that she said that. I'm literally going to see Alanis Morissette tomorrow at the Camden Waterfront.
Very cool.
Oh, really?
Saturn Fu has gone on record as calling me the Alanis Morissette of vaporwave, and I love
That's
see
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
I like
that. Saturn Fu coined it. So when you hear everyone talking about
Why
it
does
being
she
the
call
last
you
person
that?
of vaporwave, you know that it was Saturn who said it first.
Shout out Saturn
I don't.
Fu.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, I wanna know why.
How it even. Yeah, I forget how it even came up. I think we were just all being our goofy little selves in Discord one night. Maybe I posted an Alanis Morissette song. I can't really remember how it came up now, but I mean I love everything off Jagged Little Pill, but I think that Thank You is probably the song I'm definitely most excited to hear tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. That's
I-
exciting.
I
Have a
very
great
much
time.
hope
Excited
that
for
she
you.
plays. I very much hope that she plays a lot of that record, and I'm sure she will. But yeah,
Damn, a first-time chatter just says coming in to say he loves Alanis more than me, low-key.
Girl.
I bet that's your girl. Damn. Called out. You heard it on Hot Takes.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Puff and Bill Grooves. Did he mention video games? Video game soundtracks or influences?
Do video games have any influence on you?
I mean, I definitely was into them when I was a kid. My brother had like an original NES. You know, I grew up playing like Super Nintendo. Got an N64 for Christmas. You know, was really into like Super Smash. Growing
Nice.
up, I wasn't like, but I played like really. I wasn't like into. I wasn't into like rare games or like I didn't really get into like RPGs that much. Like I was like a Nintendo gamer.
You're not like
"Give
me trying to do the
give me
same
some
thing
Star
over and over
Fox."
for like hours.
You didn't really do
Yeah.
too
And
much
failing.
when you got. You
Yeah.
don't really do too much now, yeah.
I do play Fortnite now because
There you go.
Roge and Van Gogh got me super into it.
They got you.
And
They
that's
got you. I thought
that's
you were gonna-
perfect that you brought that up because that's Matt wanted to know what your favorite Fortnite moment with the boys is.
Oh man,
Wow,
it's
good
probably-
lead in. Good lead in.
it's probably just
It's
every
the chat,
time
man.
that
It's all our fans and fans of
It's-
Heaven Sample.
at this point, I think the best Fortnite moments are just when all of us are downed and that's Matt's responsibility to put the team on his back and carry us to victory. It's almost comical how often it happens at this point. And,
Oh, that's Matt is really good at Fortnite.
He's very good at Fortnite.
Really?
And
Damn.
I just I love to
Matt.
I love to see the pressure come down on him when we're all out for the count and he rises to the occasion.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. he's
Shout out,
legit.
that's Matt,
That's
the
Matt.
Vaporwave
For
Cowboy,
real.
the Future Funk Cowboy.
You
sorry.
guys practically, you almost make me want to play video games too. This is crazy. That sounds
It's-
fun.
it-
Yeah.
They've
should
got their
hop in
moments.
for a round.
You probably should
Yeah,
avoid the
right.
JRPGs.
Me
I've
and
been-
Luxury Elite are
yeah.
the only two people that like don't play video games in the
Yeah.
entire world.
You really
World.
are. It's
Hey,
hilarious.
Lux. Hey, Lux. That's about it. But that sounds really fun.
I stepped away from it for years because I was just like, yeah, I mean, I was just like busy. And then
Yeah.
as I've gotten more used to kind of like, you know, working like a 9-to-5 job now and settling into more of like a routine, I've found some joy in gaming for sure.
Really fun, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Sounds really exciting. I really want to see what That's Matt does.
Yeah.
Right.
Hero.
No, you don't want to see what I do. Poor Lux. I've just been trying to fight the same insanely difficult, like monsters in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for no reason, for hours. I really should stop.
We got back to questions, right?
Make
We got
mistakes wants to know what's your favorite hardware for making vapor, if you use any.
Shit, yeah. What do you use any hardware?
Yeah. I have a Korg M1. I have a
I've seen that in your videos.
Yeah, I have a Behringer MS1, which is a clone of the Roland SH101, like little mono synth. I played that live at I2K. And then my main like kind of workhorse synth, I guess you'd call it now, is the ASM Hydra synth. All digital, capable of like a ton of just like crazy arpeggiated effects and just like huge pad sounds. Like I told myself that I wanted to kind of like commit to one synth and have it sort of like help shape my sound in a sort of way, because I do think there's like a lot to that when it comes to making music and finding something that sort of is like you can contain your palette a little bit, and
The way you
at
put
least
that.
that's how I work best, I think.
Mm.
And you know, this synth does have like a lot of options to it. I mean, you can customize, you know, the options are endless. But I do like the idea of finding like a kind of signature piece of gear, if you want to call it that, and just like
Yeah.
learning everything about it and like refining your sort of like, and I've found that this is a this has been a great synth for me to kind of do that. I've had it for a couple years now. I definitely mess around with quite a few others before I got this. Like I was, you know, I had like a Roland Alpha Juno for a long time. I had an Oberheim Matrix. I had a Korg DW5000, like all like vintage,
Wow.
like 80s kind of boards. But they all kind of like do the same thing. They're all like poly, you know, like analog hybrid, like poly synths. And I found that there was just like what I could do with like any of them I could do with one, and I kind of got brought into like the digital realm of synthesizers, and I've kind of fallen in love with that avenue now a little bit over the analog
Hardcore.
sound. Yeah.
You'll
Everybody
have to come
says
over.
analog's better.
Hey, you've been
but
around.
I mean, I have both. You'll have to come over to my place. I have a bunch of synthesizers.
I've seen photos and videos. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta come check the space. Yeah.
Come check it out soon.
Yeah.
Hell
We're
yeah.
basically neighbors. So.
Lux has a great question that Soft
Absolutely,
Replica
definitely.
often likes to ask.
I'm very excited to hang out, man. That's gonna be happening
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very, very
I'm
soon.
gonna go up
because,
there
like,
too.
I have two friends in
Let's
Philadelphia.
go. Yeah, we have to.
We got an OG question. Soft Replica. Slow Dive or My Bloody Valentine?
Ooh. It's gotta be My Bloody Valentine for me.
Valid.
That I just like, and I think it's just a case of
definitely
like
rock
I
harder.
heard them first, and yeah, and it's just like it's I talk about this with a lot of people too. It's like Blink-182 or Green Day. It's like they do well, yeah. It's like it's kind of like how you come to it too, right? Like I love both, but I was just introduced to My Bloody Valentine first, so like I'm always gonna have that.
There's
sort
a
of,
name
like,
for that,
connection.
like the bias, where you're just kind of chasing the dragon. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
what it's called, but what you hear first
Yeah.
is like, oh, damn, I just got into that because of that, and if I don't hear something that tops it, I'll always just remember that.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name
Yeah,
for
like
it.
I think when You Sleep was the first like My Bloody Valentine song that I heard, and it was
That's
just
a good
like,
one. It's a
you know,
really good one.
on site. I was just like, oh, this is wild. Yeah.
Solid. Short stuff. Great question for Mr. Sample. How was your experience at I2K and the DJ Cam Girl set?
Oh man, if I could like relive that moment, that was just so fun.
crack.
Like the whole festival, I mean, was incredible. Like I've said this to Roge and Van Gogh and you know, the people involved, but I mean, I'm just like so impressed with what they were able to
Oh, yeah,
turn
they
out
did a
at being
phenomenal job.
their first IRL event. They literally bootstrapped the whole thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, weren't concerned about money, weren't concerned about anything, but just like providing a great experience for everyone involved, and they really did do that.
They did.
You know, shout out to Short Stuff and Smooth Brain and everyone who like helped
yeah.
set
Bad Ghost
set the
partner,
venue up, helped like decorate the venue,
table people.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there
The
was just so
visualists,
many
Videodrome, and Jumper
countless,
Kimmons. You would have had so
countless
much fun there,
people.
Skelly. As soon as Vape
I3-
Error like broke
I3K.
out, yeah, I3K. When Vape Error brought Sage up there and Heaven Sample got on the drums and a big pit broke out.
That was awesome.
There's a video somewhere of somebody
That was
like
great.
zooming in on a guy in
Great.
the background just looking horrified, and it's just great.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I
did not get in the pit. Too old for that
watching
shit.
those videos back is like is so funny because I feel like it flew by for me. Like
Oh yeah, I bet.
I registered that like there was like a mosh pit happening, and I registered that like these
Yeah.
things were happening, but I just like I was really nervous too because like we didn't rehearse any of that together.
Are you
It was, like, I
serious? That's
You did?
unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like I went down to the studio that they've been working on their record at and just did a run through of the songs, like basically like with them in the room so they could see like, oh, he can play the songs, like we'll be fine. But we didn't actually do like a practice. It was like I learned them all.
That's
I just played
unbelievable,
on my-
dude. You're truly
my
an
electronic.
accomplished musician.
For sure.
Jumper, you got to
Amazing.
send me that video. He has the
But-
video of the guy looking horrified
Oh,
outside the pit.
hell yeah! I want to see. I don't know if I saw that one. I gotta see that too.
There were some people there that
Um,
clearly were not expecting that at a Vaporwave show.
Mm.
I mean, who would? Like,
Yeah,
who would
For
expect?
good reason. I always kind of wonder, like, what the people working the venue think. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, totally. But no, I mean that like even more so like I really enjoyed like performing my own music and doing my set. Like I'm still really nervous about playing my music because it's such a new thing and I've only done 2 shows now. Like Sage and Bass House booked me for my first show for an Aesthetic Friday like a month before.
Nice. I
I2K.
saw that.
That was the first time I did like a Heaven Sample set, and then I2K was like my second show. So I'm still like working out the kinks and like figuring out my live sound and you know, stuff like that. But like it's when I get behind the drums, I'm just excited. Like I don't get nervous. Like I'm just like excited. So it's
Nice.
definitely like a much different experience. Like playing the songs with you know Jeff and Alex and doing that. Yeah.
So badass, dude.
Yeah. Those
Jumper-
guys are geniuses.
Oh, all 3 of you guys. Jumper Kimmon's question: did you like the Primus new metal album Anti-Pop?
Primus is a
not
new
gonna-
metal album?
I'm not gonna lie. I do not know shit about Primus. He's gonna have to he's gonna have to show me where to start on that.
Les
'cause
Claypool. I think he was in
I have
Primus,
not.
right?
That's right. That's the guy. That's the dude.
Yeah. Funky shit.
Yeah,
The 7
I'm not
Seas of
super
cheese.
knowledgeable about Primus either.
yeah. He needs to clue me in a little
Yeah.
bit.
Got to school us.
There's always somebody who
For real.
is, though. There's always somebody around who is.
Yeah.
Person is Jumper, I guess.
My friend Haley is a big Primus, or is knowledgeable about.
Everybody knows
Les
somebody
Claypool.
who's like, you gotta like search for a minute, but you'll have someone in your friend group. You'll find the one that likes Primus.
Totally.
Lux says, I know we got stuck on a lot of things pre-Heaven Sample. Would you like to discuss a little bit more about Heaven Sample things? Like the new album you're working on, or the sample pack you're releasing soon?
Yeah, man.
With
I can't
15
wait for
minutes
that
left to
sample
go,
pack.
we probably
I
should
put into
talk about
thing a
that.
few times. I want that sample
The
pack.
Vapor Drum thing.
Yep. Yeah. Big shout outs to Skelly who you know hooked. I basically like did what I'll call like a pre-order of the sample pack, and basically that was just to kind of like help foot a little bit of the bill for going into the studio because it was a very expensive endeavor to do it. I really wanted to do it just for the sake of like having someone who kind of understands the music that people are trying to make in the scene and like the sounds that we're accustomed to, and going in with the you know, with the intent to make something that's geared towards a specific style of music. You know, I was just really like passionate about going in and doing it and having people like use the sounds and everything. So I really appreciate Skelly was a early donator to the pack. We did get a George Clanton donation to the pack.
No way.
So
That's hard.
maybe
man.
you'll hear some Heaven sample drums in a George
Oh, that
Clanton
would be
song
so
sometime in the
badass.
future.
George, that's
We don't know.
That's awesome, man. I love that George
Freaking,
donated.
yeah, that's Matt Van Gogh. Freaking, short stuff donated, and she doesn't even make music that I know of. People in the scene are just so supportive, and it's just a beautiful.
Kind of
thing.
wild how
So,
that works, right?
yeah, I'm so grateful to the people who helped me like make that happen. Obviously, like the drums are all recorded now. I'm going through and mixing and editing. I would say I have probably like 80 to 90% of the pack done at this point. I'm just putting a little like bows and whistles on it. I have a release date for it scheduled as July 12th. So I will be posting on my Instagram. Yeah, very soon. I'll be posting a ton. I already kind of have started like promoting it a little bit on my Instagram, but if you want drum sounds
So excited
played by me, we've got loops at multiple mix variations. We've got one-shot samples, fills, and yeah, I'm excited. I really hope that people.
I know
dig
you
it
did
and
some
they
breaks,
make some cool
right?
stuff with it. Some what?
I know you did some breaks.
Yeah. I also didn't want to make it too break focused because there's already so many options for breaks out there.
That is true.
I wanted to kind of like walk a line between trying to do something that's maybe like pushing it in a slightly different direction while also paying homage to the classics, obviously, and like what I know people are going to want to use. So there really is like a little bit of everything in there. Like you're going to get your classic, your classic patterns and stuff that you're accustomed to, maybe like recorded in a slightly different and more modern kind of way. So you don't have to use like Funky Drummer or when the levee breaks or these sorts of things. That was kind of like my inspiration, was like these are classic loops and samples that people use, and I want to like build on that a little bit so that there's like at least other options.
I love that. I like how you think, man. You think like an artist. That's great.
Hell yeah.
Good man.
So yeah, July 12th. I'll be posting about it on my Instagram. Yeah.
Now
and
you have Vapor Drum on Insta, and then your main Insta. Is it still Proxy, or did you change? No, it's Heaven Sample now.
It is Heaven Sample.
Yeah, so Heaven Sample and Vapor Drum.
Yeah, I started Vapor Drum to kind of keep the two a little separate, like all my drumming stuff versus my like solo recorded music. They've just kind of like melded into one at this point.
Oh, have they? Okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I definitely am not as active on Vapor Drum anymore. Like, I still want to do like some of the drum covers and stuff because that has been really fun. But now, I'm like promoting the sample pack on Heaven Sample.
I got you. Okay. Okay.
So I am kind of like mixing those worlds a little bit now.
Good to know.
But yeah.
Very cool.
And then I'm working on the Heaven Sample album. I have half of it. I did something a little silly, and because I'm working very slowly on it, I decided to finish the first half of it and get the first half of it mastered, and then I'm gonna drop a couple singles from that while I'm finishing up the second half and getting that mastered. So I should have masters for the first half of the album done in like the next few days. They've already been sent and they're being worked on.
Hardcore.
So I'm definitely have some music coming out in the coming weeks or months that I'm really excited about. So
we're all excited.
Damn. We got you early before you blew up.
Man,
question.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, you're good.
But one of my favorite questions to ask, I don't know about you guys. I feel like music is incredibly visual to me, especially like instrumental music. Whenever you're making music, do you ever like have like a specific like visual in your mind that you kind of want to soundtrack for, or
yeah?
Are there any particular visuals you see or hear when you create your music?
Short answer is yes. Like I'm bad about remembering them, I feel like, because they are so fleeting and like momentary when they do happen. But I'm the same way. I definitely am a big visual person. It's like really silly, but this one new song that I just wrapped up for the album, for some reason, just like reminded me of this scene from The Matrix, where Neo's coming in on the helicopter to like save Morpheus when he's like
Right, on
being
that
chained
building.
by the Agent Smith, and then like Morpheus is trying to run out of the building while they're like shooting at him, and he like jumps to the helicopter.
Mhm.
Like that, I made this song, and I could not tell you why, but like that's exactly where my brain went, was like that
Sick.
scene. And I was just like, yeah, I can't explain it, but yeah, I definitely have that visual element going in my brain when I'm making music, for sure.
Badass example, dude.
That's like the only cool one I have. I can't honestly think of any others.
Right.
There's definitely others, but that's been the most recent one.
I guess like the simplest is like if you were gonna make a music video for this song, like what would it be? You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we got just under 10 minutes, guys. If you got any last minute questions you want to slide through, what is an album that was made before the 2000s that you would make an honorary vaporwave album?
Wait, what? An album that was made before the 2000s?
Before the 2000s.
Vaporwave.
What would fit right at home in vaporwave?
Anything. I feel like anything like Yellow Magic Orchestra. Anything.
Yeah.
Very psychedelic.
Very good choice.
I love that era of music. I'm very big on Hiromi Asono, Yukihiro Takahashi. I love the YMO stuff. I love all the solo endeavors that all the members have gone and done, and yeah, I think any of that could easily, and maybe that's a slightly cliche answer, but that would definitely be my answer for sure.
I think it's a solid answer. I'm not very familiar with Yellow Magic Orchestra, so respect from me.
I mean,
for sure.
it's just like sick like Japanese like instrumental electronic music. It's great.
Sounds fun based on what I'm reading. Some roots that I need to dig into at some point. Short Stuff came through with like 11th Hour. What made you change your name from Proxy to Heaven Sample?
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
I think that when I released some of the Proxy songs, I was still figuring myself out. I think in a lot of ways it was like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Like a bunch of those songs are kind of like more in like the hyperpop realm. Like I was using a ton of auto-tune, and
I got you.
It felt good in the moment, but like looking back on it, like it didn't feel like me. It felt like maybe I was like trying a little bit too hard to do something, and I felt like this with like musical endeavors I've done in the past, where because I have like a really diverse music taste and I like a lot of different genres, I don't know what realm to really like operate in when it comes to making music.
That makes
and
a lot of sense.
I've struggled with that. Yeah, I've struggled with that as I've like gone to do like solo stuff. Like, you know, there was a period of time I was really into like dark wave and like gothy like synth music and stuff like that, and then, you know, I get more into like the, you know, kind of like the capture track sound and doing more like indie pop like adjacent stuff. And so I think like Heaven Sample, I feel like is the first time that I've felt really like self-actualized in what I'm doing, and I feel like the name is kind of can be applied to a lot of different things. And I also struggle a lot with like names, because it's like I don't want to go by
Gotcha.
my real name, and I don't really know what a good name is that's going to represent like what I'm trying to do. So when something like when that name came to me, I think something told me like I just had to run with it. And I think something about the proxy name felt too hyper specific just to this like one like micro genre of music that I was trying to do at that time, where under the name Heaven Sample, I feel like I could go in any different direction and have it still be reflective of me, like using that moniker. So yeah,
Makes sense. You
that's
grew.
yeah, I grew a little bit, you know. It was like it was definitely that those songs, the proxy songs, needed to happen for sure. But and I'm glad they did, because I definitely feel like a lot more solid in what I'm doing now. And now I think I actually have like a vision of where I'm going. So so yeah, it's cool.
Hard.
Hell yeah.
Man, we always like to
Great
give
answer.
the floor
Great answer.
to our guest during the last 5 minutes. You mentioned your sample pack on July 12, and you mentioned the upcoming album that you've got the first half getting ready to be mastered. If there's anything you want to promote, or anyone you want to shout out, or just anything you want everybody to hear before we kind of wrap up, now's the time.
Yeah. I just have to say, like, I'm so thankful to everyone in this scene. You know, I haven't been like a vaporwave OG, and in a lot of ways, I think I'm still like very new to the scene, obviously. And it has been so welcoming, and I've met so many fantastic people in this community, and I think it's just awesome. And I know that like there are people, you know, who probably want to like protect the integrity of this, and maybe would be turned off to an outsider like me coming in and trying to do something that's you know, a little bit different, but that's not the case really. Like everyone's just been super cool and welcoming, and yeah, I'm just like, I'm so grateful for that. Like I feel like I've found a little home in this scene, so it's
Nice.
yeah, it's awesome.
Man,
and yeah,
that's
I got my sample. Yeah.
that's the best thing about this scene, is that everyone comes from a different subculture. So like most of us are usually super open to like finding out like what's your weird spin on vaporwave, you know? What's your
Totally.
background?
Yeah.
I think it's super cool.
Yeah. Cause my music, like the Heaven Sample stuff, isn't. I mean, I'm not calling it vaporwave. Like it's really not, you know. But it's like,
This all never was.
but yeah, it's like, yeah, it's you know, I think vaporwave is a mentality, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there's in any even no matter how niche the genre is or the subculture or whatever, like you need to hold the space for like the true OGs that make the genre like what it is, but also like, you know, be willing to push the boundaries outwards a little bit. So I think I'm definitely riding like the outside line of that quite a bit, but I'm happy that people have been you know, into the music that I've, you know, been showing some of the homies, and you know, playing live, you know, people have seemed into it. So yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Heaven Sample, everybody. Skelly,
Thank y'all so much. This was so fun.
you were so
I knew
fun.
you have a good time.
What do you got coming up, Skelly?
New album been done. Just you know, waiting for secret schools to finish the art direction. You'll hear more about it soon.
What I have heard was phenomenal.
I know, it's really good, right?
I like it.
Hell yeah.
Any shows coming up or anything else?
Yeah, I got no, not right now.
The next eclipse, when's that? Do we have a
I
date?
think that's not until it might not be until August, September, I think.
Gotcha. Wow. You guys really space those out.
Yeah.
Make them special, I guess. Yeah, my planner's pretty empty. Got booked for a live stream event that is yet to be announced. Heaven Sample probably knows.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna
yeah,
do a
yeah.
20-minute, probably chill wave, actually. Chill wave or chill synth set.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll either throw some real OG shit together or I'll do a bunch of Stratford Court, like, hotel, listens to hotel pools once type beat. We'll see. Home resonance, haven't decided yet. And then been in talks with some people about playing in, well, I don't want to say yet because it's not announced, but playing an IRL show with some real OGs that we've actually had on the show, and I'm incredibly excited and honored to have been invited, but I can't say anything because nothing's been announced yet. But yeah, lots of cool things. And then, of course, this is not me, but me and Roche Corp are going to be hanging out in Greenville, South Carolina on the 27th for Altered States. Real excited to see him again and crush some beers and see Orograph and George Clanton and Secret Attraction.
Crush some beers.
Yep.
It's going to be sick.
It's going to be sick, man. Wish you could come, but I know it's a long way.
Yeah.
You already mentioned it's a long way.
It's a long way from Philly, and
it's a long
I just
way
started
for
a
me,
new
but
job.
longer for you,
so
yeah. Shout out.
Yeah.
Roche Corp just got tickets an hour ago. Well, it's time to say goodnight. Unfortunately, it's late, and I'm gonna get a little extra sleep tonight. But want to thank Heaven Sample for giving us your valuable time, for being so enthusiastic and teaching us so much. You're
Great.
a valuable.
Thank you for coming on, buddy.
You're a valuable part of the scene. We're happy to have you here. You bring so much to it, and a lot of people here really love you. And if you guys will tune in at the same time in 2 weeks, that's 8 Eastern. Sorry, a lot of our ads still say 9. Working on that. Slowly but surely. 8 Eastern on Monday, July 15. We're going to bring on an older name. Mr. Huesa Otto will be joining us in 2 weeks on Hot Takes. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Show Heaven Sample some love, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank y'all. Love y'all.